Services Tax by Rifaya Meera, Department of Commerce, Ayanoda Janaki Ammal College,
Dr. Rifaya Meera, Department of Commerce, Ayanoda Janaki Ammal College, Sivakasi. Today we are all going to know about an emerging title of commerce, that is Goods and Services Tax. Before that, we all have to recall about the meaning of the term tax. Tax is a compulsory contribution levied by the government on workers' income and business profits. It also can be added to the cost of goods and services. Hence, tax can be divided into two. First one is direct tax, second one is indirect tax. Obviously, you all know very well, direct tax is levied on individuals' income and business profits. Indirect tax is levied on goods and services. So, GST is a indirect tax. GST's slogan is One Nation, One Tax. Before the implementation of GST, we have paid so many indirect taxes. Sales tax, service tax, state VAT, central VAT, purchase tax, etc. But lots of complications were there in the taxpayer's point of view as well as in the government's point of view. But after the implementation of GST, we need to pay only one indirect tax, that is goods and services tax. For this purpose, 17 indirect taxes have subsumed under a single tax, that is goods and services tax. Next important feature is GST is the destination based taxation system. Why it is known like that? Because GST is levied at a single point at the time of the consumption of goods or services by the ultimate customer. So GST is levied at the destination point. It is paid by the ultimate customer. So that is why it is known as the destination based taxation structure. Before the implementation of GST, we had origin based taxation structure. After the implementation of GST, we have destination based taxation structure. The next important feature of goods and services tax is one tax rate across the country. Yes, the GST rate in India for various goods and services is divided under 4 slabs. First one is 5%, second one is 12%, third one is 18% and fourth one is 28%. However, there are some goods that do not carry any GST. With GST, there will be one single tax rate followed for the entire country. This is the main important feature of goods and services tax. Types of goods and services tax. There are 4 types of goods and services tax. First one is SGST, State Goods and Services Tax. Second one is CGST, that is Central Goods and Services Tax. Third one is IGST, that is Integrated Goods and Services Tax. And finally the fourth one is UTGST, that is Union Territory Goods and Services Tax. First one SGST. SGST is levied by the state government on intra-state goods and services transactions. And second one is CGST. CGST is levied by the central government on intra-state goods and services transactions. And third one is IGST. IGST is levied by the central government on interstate goods and services transactions. And finally, UTGST is applicable in case of intra-state goods and services transactions where the location of the supplier and the place of supply are in the same union territory. So these are the 4 kinds of goods and services tax. Apart from the features, next we are going to see about the advantages of goods and services tax. Advantage number 1. GST eliminates the cascading effect. Cascading effect is also termed as tax on tax. In the previous tax regime, tax is levied on every stage of production. From the manufacturer to till the end user, everyone has to pay tax. But in GST regime, GST is levied at a single point. As it is a destination-based taxation system, the end user only is liable to pay tax. And the previous persons like manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer, they can avoid input tax credit. Right? So the ultimate user only has to pay tax. Automatically the price will be reduced because of this effect. So it is the main advantage of goods and services tax. So GST eliminates tax on tax. And the next important advantage of goods and services tax is composition scheme. So it is an optional scheme for small and medium business owners. If they had an annual turnover of rupees 1.5 crores, in case of Himachal Pradesh and northeastern states, if they had an annual turnover of rupees 75 lakhs, they can avoid this scheme. In this scheme, they are required to pay GST at the rate of 1% to 6% only, depending upon their business types. Right? They need not to go with the normal GST rates, that is 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. They need not to go with these rates. They can pay their tax at the rate of 1% to 6% only. If they had an annual turnover of rupees 1.5 crores, in case of northeastern states and Himachal Pradesh, if they had an annual turnover of rupees 75 lakhs, if they had these annual turnovers, they can avoid composition scheme. In this scheme, they can pay their tax at the rate of 1% to 6% only. And it is the best thing for small and medium business owners, and it is the main advantage of goods and services tax. And other advantages are GST has combined multiple taxes like service tax, central excise, luxury tax, sales tax, etc. and brought it all under one roof. This has simplified the tax calculation and collection process. GST has improved the transparency of the tax collection process. GST is a transparent tax and also reduces the number of indirect taxes. It is the main advantage. As well as GST will not be a cost to registered retailers. Therefore, there will be no hidden taxes and the cost of doing business will be lower. Benefit people as prices will come down, which in turn will help companies as consumption will increase. Next, disadvantages of goods and services tax. As every coin has two sides, if an advantage is there, definitely disadvantage will also be there. So the first disadvantage of goods and services tax is GST is a consumption based tax, and the states where the goods are finally consumed will get the tax because it is a destination based taxation system. So the manufacturing states will lose their revenue. Like Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, they will lose their revenue because of this destination based taxation system. So it is the main disadvantage of goods and services tax. Disadvantages are IT infrastructure. Since GST is an IT driven law, it cannot be sure whether all the states in India are currently equipped with the infrastructure and workforce availability to embrace this law. Only a few states have implemented this e-governance model. Next disadvantage is higher tax burden of SMEs. Earlier, the small and medium enterprises had to pay excise duty only on your turnover that exceeded rupees 1.5 crore every financial year. However, under the GST administration, businesses whose turnover exceeds rupees 40 lakhs are liable to pay GST. And next disadvantage is increased burden of compliance. The GST administration states that companies are required to register in all the states they operate in. This increases the burden on the business for excessive paperwork and compliance. Next disadvantage is petroleum products don't fall under the GST slab. Petrol and petroleum products have not been included in the scope of GST until now. States levy their taxes on this sector. Tax credit for inputs will not be available to these industries or those related industries. Next disadvantage is coaching of tax officers. There is inadequate training that is provided to the government officers for practical usage and implementation of such systems, since the GST administration heavily banks on information technology. GST in India was a sweeping reform and benefits of GST and has changed the way businesses are conducted. Businesses are being included in the formal economy through GST implementation. GST and its benefits have provided long-term returns for the Indian economy on a large scale, which have been welcomed as a new change by all the stakeholders. These are all the disadvantages of goods and services tax. After knowing the meaning of goods and services tax, we should know about the structure, role and functions of a council, that is GST Council. GST Council is an apex member committee to modify or to procure or to reconcile any law or regulations based on the context of goods and services tax in India. It is headed by the Finance Minister Madam Nirmala Sitharaman and assisted with finance ministers of all the states in India. Why GST Council is needed? Because it is the key decision making authority. It will take all the decisions related to the structure of goods and services tax. So the GST Council is the key decision making body that will take all important decisions regarding the GST. The GST Council dictates tax rate, tax exemption, the due date of forms, tax laws and tax deadlines, keeping in mind special rates and provisions for some states. The predominant responsibility of the GST Council is to ensure to have one uniform tax rate for goods and services across the nation. Structure of GST Council. The goods and services tax is governed by the GST Council. Article 279 subsection 1 of the amended Indian Constitution states that the GST Council has to be constituted by the President within 60 days of the commencement of the Article 279A. According to the article, GST Council will be a joint forum for the centre and the states. It consists of the following members. The Union Finance Minister will be the chairperson. As a member, the Union Minister of State will be in charge of Revenue or Finance. The Minister in charge of Finance or Taxation or any other minister nominated by each state government as members. Features of GST Council. GST Council office is set up in New Delhi. Revenue Secretary is appointed as the ex officio secretary to the GST Council. Central Board of Excise and Customs is included as the chairperson as a permanent invitee to all proceedings of the GST Council. Create a post for additional secretary to the GST Council. Create 4 posts of commissioner in the GST Council Secretariat. GST Council Secretariat will have officers taken on deputation from both the central and state governments. The cabinet also provides funds for meetings, the expenses of the GST Council Secretariat. This cost is completely borne by the central government. Thank you so much for your patience listening. Keep supporting our college YouTube channel, Anjak Digital.